Hello and welcome to this incredibly special edition of Round 2 Wrestling here on the 18th of October, 2022. I say special because it is our PWI 500 special. That is correct. Pro Wrestling Illustrated has come out with its top 500 wrestlers in the world, and we are going to highlight some of that in today's episode. Now, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. Usually we have several rounds and talk about title matches and rumors and news and things like that. This is only going to be about PWI and its 500 special. Now, the PWI 500 is an annual ranking of 500 wrestlers in the world that PWI views as worthy of being in this conversation. WWE, AEW, NWA, MLW, New Japan, AAA, every promotion you could think of could possibly have somebody in the top 500, including several independent promotions that you may or may not have heard of. But this is how you get noticed, and this is how guys get moved around and move up and down the promotion ladder and break out of the indies. So, once again, this is our PWI 500. Be sure to go to your favorite magazine retailer and pick up the 32nd annual collector's issue of the PWI 500. And you too can take a look for yourself and see if anybody in your state or local area is one of the top 500 wrestlers in the world. So without further ado, we are going to break into the PWI 500 by talking about the top 25 wrestlers of 2022. All right, so we will start off at number 25 and we'll work our way up to number 1. While we are in the top 25, we will try to give you the promotion that this particular wrestler was in when this issue came out, and or if they are champion in some way, shape, or form. Coming in at number 25 is AC Mack. Number 24 is current champion Alex Hammerstone from MLW. Number 23 is Jay White from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Number 22 is another champion, Chris Jericho from AEW, who is also the Ring of Honor champion, is the 22nd best wrestler in the world. Coming in at number 21, Moose from Impact is in the top 25. Coming in at number 20, Drew McIntyre from WWE. 19 is Kenny Omega, who is with AEW, and this is a bit high for Kenny Omega. Number 18 is yet another AEW wrestler. Adam Cole comes in at number 18. Number 17 is a WWE wrestler, Seth Rollins. Number 16, MJF, AEW. And again, I feel this is a little high considering the circumstances, but we will talk about that later on. Number 15, Hiroshi Tanahashi from New Japan Pro Wrestling. Number 14, he is also a heavyweight world champion. Josh Alexander from Impact is the number 14 wrestler according to PWI. Coming in at number 13 is the only NWA wrestler on the top 25. Matt Cardona is our 13th best wrestler. Number 12 is another world champion, and this time is from AEW. Jon Moxley goes all the way to number 12 in 2022. Number 11 is another New Japan Pro wrestler. Shingo Takagi comes in at number 11. Number 10, Jonathan Gresham, a former Ring of Honor champion for most of 2022 before losing it to Claudio Castagnoli. Number 9, Big E from WWE. I feel this is a bit low considering what he did and the circumstances behind his departure. I feel like number 9 is a bit low for Big E. Coming in at number 8, El Hijo del Vikingo from AAA Mexico. This is AAA's only top 25 wrestler, according to PWI. Number 7 is another AEW wrestler, Bryan Danielson. Number 6 is a former AEW wrestler and now current WWE wrestler, Cody Rhodes, is in the top 10 PWI 500 for 2022. Coming in at number 5, Bobby Lashley, Oslo from WWE. Coming in at number 4, Adam Page, which again is a little high for me considering the circumstances behind him losing the World Championship to CM Punk, who coincidentally is one spot ahead of Adam Page at number 3, representing AEW. Number 2 is Okada from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'm sorry, I got a little bit ahead of myself. And the number 1 pro wrestler in the world, according to Pro Wrestling Illustrated, he is a world champion. In fact, he is a universal champion. Roman Reigns from WWE is your number 1 male wrestler of 2022. All right, that is the top 25. A pretty interesting list if you think about it. And again, if you missed any of the top 25, be sure to go back and listen to the beginning half of this particular podcast to see if your favorite wrestler or if your favorite wrestler from a different promotion was able to hop into the top 25 according to PWI. Now, it wouldn't be PWI if we didn't look at last year's top 10 rankings as well. This is the top 10 PWI 500 rankings from 2021. 1 year ago, the 10th best wrestler in the world was Rich Swann, who didn't break the top 25 this year. Coming in at number 9 last year was Shingo Takagi, who this year came in the top 25, but fell quite a ways from number 8, all the way to number 11. Coming in at number 7 a year ago was Will Ospreay, who did not crack the top 25 in 2022. Jon Moxley was at number 6 a year ago. He fell all the way to 12 in 2022. Number 5 was Kota Ibushi. He did not break the top 25 in 2022. Drew McIntyre was ranked number 4 in 2021. He fell all the way to number 20 in 2022. In 2021, number 3 was Bobby Lashley. He only fell a couple spots to number 5 in 2022. Number 2 was Roman Reigns in 2021, so he was perched on that pedestal, ready to knock off the number 1 spot, which 1 year ago was held by Kenny Omega. My thinking is that if Kenny Omega had never gotten into any sort of injury troubles, he would have never lost that number 1 spot. And or if Kenny Omega's injury hadn't kept him out for most of 2022, I feel like he would be much higher than number 19 in the PWI 500. All right, continuing with our top 10s and top 25s, we have 2 top 5s we're going to talk about, and then we're going to switch gears just a little bit. These are the top 5 LGBTQ wrestlers in the PWI 500 from 2022. And LGBTQ, for those of you who are unaware, is short for lesbian, gay, bi, trans, queer people. That means people who identify as one of those are in the top 5 for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I will also give you their name and their ranking. However, I was not able to give all the promotions for all these wrestlers, so I forewent that for the top 5 LGBTQ wrestlers. Coming in at number 25 was AC Mack. Number 30 was Speedball. Number 50 was Trish Adora. Alex Kane came in at number 86. And the last top 5 LGBTQ wrestler, Effie, coming in at number 95 in the PWI 500. All right, we talked about the top 25. We talked about the top 10 from 2021 and the top 5 LGBTQ wrestlers. Let's talk about the last 5 PWI 5 wrestlers. Coming in at number 495 is a big-time wrestler known as Big Game Leroy. Number 496, a wrestler by the name of Miles Millennium. Josh Fuller comes in at 497, while Rob Radke takes 498. Stan Styles is the 499th best wrestler in the world according to PWI 500. Who is Mr. Irrelevant? Who is Mr. 500? This year's in 2022 is a wrestler by the name of Dustin Wilson. We will make sure that when next year's, that's 2023's PWI 500 comes out, we will look to see if Mr. Wilson has moved up in the world of pro wrestling or if he really truly did become Mr. Irrelevant. All right, we will talk a little bit more about PWI 500 and the ranking system here. The biggest PWI 500 rise in ranking was CM Punk, who was unranked in 2021 and jumped all the way up to number 3 in 2022. This, of course, was before the fallout from All Out and his suspension, which he is still serving at the time of this broadcast, and his fallout with AEW in general, I'm sure would have greatly affected his ranking in the PWI 500. But again, this was released before any of that ever happened, so it's only interesting to speculate what could have happened if things would have been held off for another month or two. The biggest PWI 500 fall, because you can't have a rise without a fall, was Braun Strowman. Ranked number 27 in the world in 2021, he did not break into the PWI 500 at all in 2022. This is mostly because he spent most of 2022 as a free agent, and during his tenure as a free agent, really wasn't doing too much wrestling. All right, we are going to take we're going to talk about a couple wrestlers, 4 wrestlers that are too highly rated according to several writers and incumbents. Matt Cardona at number 13 was a little high, and again, the only NWA wrestler in the top 25. Kenny Omega at number 19 was a little high, considering he spent most of 2022 on the shelf with an injury. Ricochet at number 54 was a bit high, again because of his lackluster performances at times and the fact that the injury bug was quite fond of him in 2022. Omos at number 20 also seems a little too highly ranked. We're talking about a guy who's really more of a bit player, not a full-time player. So to put him in the top half of the PWI 500 to me is a little overzealous and a little premature. You can't have 2 highly ranked wrestlers without having wrestlers that aren't ranked high enough. So now we will talk about 2 lowly ranked wrestlers. Kenosuke Takeshita at number 59 to me is a joke because this is a face, a franchise player within New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he fell all the way to 59. Why this is, I'm not entirely sure. It could be internal political bullshit, or it could just be that writers and incumbents who rank these wrestlers feel like he didn't do as well as he did in 2021. Apollo Crews, a WWE staple at 423, is also way too low. Dax Harwood at 101. This guy was a former AEW World Tag Team Champion and is a 3 title holder now, and you're going to put him at 101. That is almost insulting and ridiculous if you ask me. All right, that is it for our PWI special. Just getting some names and opinions out there. Please tune in later this week for our regularly scheduled Round 2 Wrestling podcast. Thank you.